Oh, right, the YouTube thing.
This is
Next book on the
Band
favorites
Geek.
list
Remember that
is
one
Paper
time
Towel.
when I was
That's not all.
Hi.
So you might be wondering why I haven't been sticking to my regular schedule this month. Actually, no, most of you probably aren't wondering at all because, you know, it's November and therefore I am participating in NaNoWriMo. Now for those of you who don't know what NaNoWriMo is, first of all, hi, welcome to the internet. Second of all, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month. A group of people from all over the world spend the month of November writing a 50,000 word novel. The idea behind NaNoWriMo is quantity, not quality. You just have to write as much as possible and then worry about editing out the bad stuff later. This is my third year doing NaNoWriMo, and yesterday I made my biggest gain of the month. I went from a little over 13,000 words on Sunday to a little over 20,000 words yesterday. So I'm well ahead of the game, and more importantly, I'm ahead of my sister. Not that everything's a competition between us. I'm winning. For those of you who are participating in NaNoWriMo, we are entering into week 2, and those of you who have done this before know that week 2 is when things start to slow down a bit. As such, I'm going to use today's Top 10 Tuesday, which, like Karen Cavitt's Frequently Asked Question Friday, will become a thing on this channel when Wheezy Waiter makes Explosion Wednesday a thing on his channel. I'm going to give you my top 10 methods for bumping up your NaNoWriMo word count. Some of these methods might seem like nothing more than cheap tricks. They are, but I'm going to give them to you anyway. Number 10. Have one of your characters, for some reason, not use contractions. I know it seems pretty basic, but a contraction is one word, and a non-contraction is usually 2 words. Except for cannot. Why is that? Stupid cannot. So I don't know, maybe one of your characters has been removed from civilization for a while and doesn't know what a contraction is and therefore doesn't use them? Or maybe one of your characters is an android who isn't programmed to use contractions. Wait, has that device been used? I know it seems pretty simplistic, but you'd be amazed how many contractions you use in your writing. Every little bit helps, right? Number 9, related to that, have one of your characters use a lot of unnecessary words like likes and you knows and stuff like that. Again, it seems pretty basic, but maybe one of your characters isn't the best speaker and so throws in those likes and you knows, and maybe one of your characters has a stutter and so repeats words sometimes. This is especially effective if you have one of these characters narrating the story in first person. Number 8, the reflection on dialogue. Every so often, have one of your characters or the narrator of your story reflect on something that some other character just said. It can be absolutely anything. It can be something like this. Hey, excuse me, could I have some ketchup for my fries? You know, you'd be amazed at how often people ask for ketchup on their fries. And it's honestly something I never understood. I mean, why would you want to put ketchup on something that's already pretty flavorful and salty anyway? But for some reason, some people just cannot live without ketchup on their fries, and despite the fact that the restaurant where I work clearly says that we do not have ketchup right now, people still come up and ask. It's like they realize that there's a sign saying we don't have ketchup, but they have that slim hope that only the absence of ketchup can give, that we might actually have some ketchup. I mean, that right there was at least 50 words. Number 7, the spontaneous conversation / banter. Have a couple of your characters strike up a random conversation. Any conversation. It could be about asking for ketchup on fries. Anything. It doesn't have to do with the story. In fact, the more tangential it is, the better. Related to that, have some of your characters engage in banter. Have them start to poke fun at each other, go back and forth with this teasing. Not only is this a lot of fun to write, but guess what? It bumps up your word count. Number 6, the philosophical tangent. Oh, the great many uses I've gotten out of the philosophical tangent. One of your characters might need to do some soul searching, or the narrator of the story might want to do some soul searching if he's an omnipotent narrator. I don't know, but soul searching. So have some inner monologue going. Have your characters start to talk about something, think about something, anything that just happened. And put a real philosophical bent on it. Start to think in terms of writing a blog post or something rather than writing a story. Number 5, the past. Backstory, flashbacks, explanations, these are all wonderful ways of bumping up your word count. It doesn't have to be a direct flashback with, the wavy lines and the music and all that sort of thing. It can just be a character talking about his past. And if it is a character talking about his past, then you can use technique number 9 and throw in some you knows and likes and that sort of thing. Number 4, the story within a story. Now, it doesn't have to be anything as complicated as The Princess Bride or The Never-Ending Story or anything like that. But maybe one of your characters wants to tell, I don't know, a folk tale from their native land to illustrate their point. Or even just a story of something that happened to them the other day. Like the time that they went up to the counter to ask for ketchup on their fries and the guy behind the counter gave them this really weird look. Number 3, the sex scene. Maybe I should have said at the beginning that not all of these are for everybody. But I'm telling you, sex scenes will bump up your word count. Among other things. So at some point in your story, just have a couple of your characters start spontaneously making out. They don't have to go all the way, but they can do some kissing and some groping, and you can have some inner monologue going until they're interrupted by the next plot point. And if they're not interrupted by the next plot point, then I'll just let your dirty minds go from there. Number 2, introduce a new character. New character equals so many words to describe them, so many words of dialogue, so many words of the other characters' opinions of them. I mean, wow, this could be about a fourth of your story. So maybe one of your main characters has a quirky little sister that forms a relationship with the other characters. And who knows, maybe that character will become a major player in your story. That has happened to me. And the number one way to bump up your NaNoWriMo word count. Description, description, description. As much as I give J.R.R. Tolkien a hard time about this, the man had a pretty high word count. So pull out some metaphors, pull out some analogies, and use unnecessary detail to describe a rock. Anything, absolutely anything. Just have a lot of description in there, bog the plot completely down, and your word count will go up. Now, you might be wondering about some of these. You might be wondering, Matt, you're always talking about what's good about stories and what's bad about stories, and a lot of these things that you mentioned are things that you talk about that are bad about stories. Well, yes they are. But keep in mind, the point here is not quality, it is quantity. I fully expect you to edit some of these things out later, in December. And there's a distinct possibility that some of these things that you added will either stay in your story and make your story better, or they will lead to more fruitful aspects of your story. And for those of you saying, well, that doesn't fit into my story, I can't have two of my characters just start spontaneously making out, it doesn't make any sense. Well, clearly, my friend, you did not read Amy Bender's pep talk yesterday. Write about the anthill. Just do it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to my own 50,000 words. See you next time. I'll wait for this car to drive by. I'll drink my coffee while it does.